Hello everyone, it's Shane Conto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Development Hell Podcast, live. Well, you're not going to be watching it live, but we're together in person, so this is exciting. We got Alex, we got Matt, and we're here to talk about Quentin Tarantino, which I'm sure like 99% of the people that usually watch my videos absolutely love, so I think we're in a good place. But obviously, if you have watched the Development Hell podcast before we get into our actual topic of the week, we're going to be doing some coming attractions to figure out if we're going to greenlight some films or send them back to Development Hell. There we go. It's your turn, Matt.
I gotta learn guitar so I can like do something interesting. But I guess if I don't know how to do it, so I'll just go outside that.
There you go. So starting off,
edit that out, please.
I very rarely edit anything out on here, and that won't be. So on August 6th, we have a few films coming out, and honestly, probably the biggest movie coming out in all of August is The Suicide Squad. So James Gunn jumped ship to DC after Disney fired him, and they are like, you can make literally anything. What do you want to make? Suicide Squad. And now we have a Dirty Dozen style Suicide Squad movie with some returners like Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, Joel Kinnaman's Rick Flag. I'm surprised I remember what the hell his character's name is. And Jai Courtney's Captain Boomerang, but then you throw in a whole bunch of people like Idris Elba as Bloodsport, Sylvester Stallone as King Shark, and John Cena as Peacemaker, who loves peace so much that he will literally kill every man, woman, and child he has to get it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Peacemaker. That's why he's a villain. So, we have James Gunn directing a Suicide Squad movie, which it appears the main villain is a giant space starfish that can control people's minds. So, with all this in mind, Matt, are you going to greenlight the Suicide Squad?
Yes. On every level, yes. Even before I knew like what the plot was going to be about, still yes. Mostly because like it looks funny. I knew it was going to be funny because, you know, James Gunn. And then also just like, why not? I mean, why not take another crack at it? Also, did you guys hear that who directed the first
David
one?
Ayer. David Ayer cut.
Apparently, he wants to sue Warner Brothers because they interfere too much with my film. Also, there's like multiple cuts apparently where like there's character development and beautiful stuff happening and all got like chopped to bits. I want to see that cut.
Apparently they put more humor in it, and his cut of the movie had no popular songs in it. It was all score, which is very different from the movie we got, which was basically, let's do a greatest hits album of popular music. So, I don't know, but David Ayer joined the let's sue a movie company train this week because we had Scarlett Johansson want to sue Disney, Emma Stone wants to sue Disney, Gerard Butler wants to sue Lionsgate, and because of earnings from Olympus Has Fallen.
Wow.
When did that come out?
Yeah.
A while ago. So, yes, I did see the David Ayer thing. Which, the movie we got wasn't great. So, I'm perfectly fine with them rebooting it. But, so it sounds like we're getting a green light from Matt. Alex, are you going to green light the Suicide Squad?
Yeah, no, I'll green light it if I get to watch it with you guys or some other crazy bastards. You know?
Next Saturday.
Yeah, no, I might. It's a good movie. It sounds like a fun movie to watch in a group. You know.
Oh, based off of the trailers, it definitely looks like it, and all the little clips that I've been seeing, and if you couldn't tell, I'm greenlighting this because one, somewhere back here, I have the original Dirty Dozen, which is such a cool anti-war movie, where it's you have things like The Great Escape and The Longest Day, which are classic war movies with big casts, and then the Dirty Dozens flip the bird to classic war movies and have just a bunch of despicable men who are all sentenced to death for court-martials, who are then all sent in to kill a bunch of Nazis. So, if you're taking that and throwing in a bunch of the worst of the worst Batman villains, because let's be real here, I'm pretty sure all of them are Batman villains, because who isn't a Batman villain? And I'm excited. The cast is great too. Taika Waititi's in it. When I heard Sylvester Stallone's voice coming out of a giant, like, beer-bellied king shark, I'm just like...
Beer-bellied.
Yep. And John Cena looks hilarious, and Idris Elba looks hilarious too, just being like the straight man to a bunch of nonsense. And like, Margot Robbie's fantastic. You have Peter Capaldi in it. Polka Dot Man, I don't remember what the actor's name is, but he's really talented and has popped up in a lot of different things. I'm going to look it up because I feel bad. It is... Well, Pete Davidson's also in this movie.
Oh, damn. Holy crap.
David Dastmalchian, he's been in, like, Prisoners, The Dark Knight, Ant-Man. So, like, he's been in a lot of things, and he looks hilarious as Polka Dot Man. Which also the fact that Polka Dot Man's going to be in a movie is absolutely hilarious. And I think the one line that I laughed the hardest during the trailer is when Idris Elba's like, "We're all going to die." And he's just like, "I hope so." And I'm just like, yep, that's the tone this movie's going for. So, sounds like we're all aboard the Suicide Squad train.
Definitely.
Next, we have a new Netflix animated film called Vivo. Vivo, a Sony Pictures animated first ever musical adventure featuring all new original songs of Lin-Manuel Miranda. So basically the synopsis isn't a synopsis. It's just, look, Lin-Manuel Miranda. What's this actually about? An epic adventure to gorgeous and vibrant locations never before seen in animation. Okay, well, and then finally down here, so follows a one-of-a-kind Kinkajo, a honey bear, who spends his days playing music to crowds in lively square with beloved owner Andres. And so it looks like it's a big, colorful, like, South American, Central American musical adventure with songs from Lin-Manuel Miranda, and it's on Netflix. So Matt, are you going to greenlight Vivo?
I want to see the trailer first, and then I might greenlight it. Maybe I'll greenlight for everyone else, but I don't know if I'm going to watch it. But I'll greenlight it because, like, yeah, why not? It sounds nice. I didn't see Into the Heights. And didn't he write that?
In the Heights.
Yes, that was his original...
Thumbs up, sideways?
I give it In the Heights a thumbs up only because the talent was just off the charts. I mean, it was just amazing, the music and the dancing and everything. So the like music wise, yeah, thumbs up definitely. Story wise,
Sideways.
Yeah, more sideways. But the talent was off the charts and the choreography was off the charts.
So for doing the math, we're like right about there.
That's right.
We're at about a 45-degree angle between the sideways thumb and the straight-up thumb.
I'm trying not to make a sex jokes. I'm really trying hard not to.
That's okay.
You're begging for it.
That's okay. This show's not for kids. So, Alex, are you going to greenlight Vivo, which is definitely for kids?
Well,
the restraint.
This is a green light, definitely. Yeah, no, I think the talent on scale, there's definitely a green light. I would want to see a trailer, but I can't give a red light to something when you know you have that kind of a talent, involved. You know you're at least going to have fun with the music.
Absolutely, and I'm in the same boat. This seems like it's going to be a fun time. At the very least, a fun time. So I'm definitely on board for it. Now, this is coming out in theaters, limited release, August 6th, but coming out on Amazon Prime on like the 20th. So like this is an Amazon original film. So another musical, and a stand-up comedian and his opera singer wife have a 2-year-old daughter with a surprising gift, and this is called Annette. And what's interesting about this is written by Russell and Ron Mael, aka the band Sparks, who Edgar Wright recently just did a whole documentary on. And this is from director Leos Carax, who did the film Holy Motors. So like weird French movies. And this is starring Adam Driver, Marion Cotillard, and from what I understand, it's a very different kind of musical to the point where, and this apparently is in the movie, Adam Driver sings a song while going down on his wife. So that's the kind of musical this is.
Not recommended, probably. I would assume. I don't know. I mean, it's worth a shot. I don't know if I'm going to greenlight that.
But Alex, are you going to greenlight the film?
I'm gonna give this one a yellow. I don't know. Just based on what you just told me, I'm like, wait a second. What am I getting into here?
Something weird and different.
Yeah, it is a little bit different. Yeah, I'm gonna give. I need to see a trailer for this one before I.
It's interesting because I watched the trailer and it didn't really like there's singing in the trailer, but it doesn't show any of the musical numbers in the trailer. It's just like singing from the movie along with like shots from the movie. At least they had music in it. They didn't like do us dirty like the Sweeney Todd or Into the Woods trailers where they didn't even allude to those movies were musicals.
Oh, right, yeah.
Boy, were people like,
what's going on?
Why is this serial killer singing? Like, what's going on here? Matt, what do you think of Annette?
I'm not the biggest musical person, but yeah, I mean, I like that. I'll do a yellow. I'll do yellow. There should be like a graphic that like comes up, is like on the screen, like yellow. Like,
we should all have little paddles, like the
yeah.
like hold up our colors. I'm gonna greenlight this just for the pure ambition of it.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to watching it. This could also be one of those films where I leave the theater just being like, "What the hell did I just watch?" And I was so excited for the green light night that didn't like sneak into my head, but that totally could have been one of those films because I've seen people react that way to it. I loved it, but we'll see if I love Annette. So shifting gears to August 13th. Don't know why this exists, but we have Don't Breathe 2. So did either of you see the first Don't Breathe movie?
No, but I know what it's about. I know the infamous scene in that movie. Can I spoil something?
I feel like, well, here's the thing. Don't Breathe came out in, 2016 or somewhere around there. And there's a sequel. So, like, let's just say Stephen Lang's character is very disturbing. And was going to do some horrible things to women in that movie. And somehow, he is the hero of Don't Breathe 2.
Oh, that's how they're spinning it. Okay.
Well, based off of the trailer, it looks like so Stephen Lang's back from the first film, which the first film is about a group of like teenagers breaking into a blind man's house to steal from him. Some of them have good reasons for doing it. But then he is trying to defend his home and like this dude's like some dangerous dude. Just because he's blind doesn't mean he's not going to mess your day up. But then you find out some horrible things about him and you're just like, oh, maybe I don't feel bad about this guy's house being stolen from. But for some reason in this film, he seems to be the protagonist and he's raising this little girl. I'm really questioning where this little girl came from. I'm sure they'll explain it in the movie. Sure. But people come into his house and kidnap the little girl. So now he's coming after them.
Blind John Wick?
Yep. More or less.
Terrible.
Interesting.
So, Matt, are you greenlighting Don't Breathe too?
I'm not watching that. I'm not watching it. And mostly because I know the turkey baster scene, so I know that this new movie has the potential to have something like that.
Alex, we'll talk about what it is later.
I don't want to know, dude.
Then we won't talk about it later.
No, man.
I
Turkey
do.
baster. Don't you? Please don't tell me you have a turkey baster.
No, I have the movie Don't Breathe.
Oh, okay.
And also
signed by the cast.
Also, Fede Alvarez is not directing this one.
Okay.
He's producing it. So, like, one of the main reasons I like the first one so much is because of the direction. So now I'm kind of questioning, like, I hate when that happens, when, like, there's a movie that works really well because the director, and there's like, oh, it made money, let's make a second one, but not have the creative...
Not the same, sure.
He's producing it, so I don't know how involved he is.
It's A Quiet Place too. Like, John Krasinski was like, I don't know if I want to direct this one. And I was like, when I heard about I didn't even know that was even on the table until after I saw the movie that he was thinking about not directing.
Well, he's not directing the spin-off that they're making.
I might not watch this spin-off.
Yeah. I guess before Alex goes, because I kind of already alluded to this, obviously I'm going to watch it, because I watch everything, but like, I would not have greenlit this movie with the story that they're going for and the lack of Fede Alvarez behind it.
What's funny to me is what it strangely reminds me of, because now the bad guy from the first one is not the good guy, but he's in the victim situation. So the predator is becoming the victim. I never heard of that before. It reminds me a little bit of Arnold Schwarzenegger going from being the bad Terminator to the good Terminator. But
which is funny because I just watched T2 Judgment Day yesterday.
Yeah, no, it's because it was a shift because Arnold Schwarzenegger became a celebrity.
You can't have Arnold be a villain in 1991.
Right, because he was, really wanted to root for him. But this is different because now you're rooting for someone who's a scumbag, or you have to care about someone who's really a scumbag.
Which,
you know,
I will see if they play it off like throughout the film this young girl finds out what he's really all about, and maybe it takes a turn. But from what they're trying to sell us, I'm just like, I can't get behind this character as a hero, so I don't know if I'll be invested in this movie.
Sure.
Next, we have Free Guy. So from director Sean Levy, who he worked on Stranger Things, right? I think so. And then he did movies like Real Steel, which I'm a fan of. I like Real Steel. I think it's a sweet movie. Rocky with robots. More or less. And this, so just to confirm, Sean Levy, so Stranger Things, he was a producer on Arrival. Interesting. He did all the Night at the Museum movies. He directed some of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. But this is starring Ryan Reynolds as an NPC in a video game who becomes conscious and starts trying to be a good guy in the video game. And it looks like Jodie Comer, who's an avatar in the game, seems to be falling for Guy. And it looks like the guy who runs the video game is trying to stop him, played by Taika Waititi.
Again. Damn.
Based off of all this, Matt, are you greenlighting Free Guy?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like after all these trailers that have come out for it, and the amount of time the trailers have been coming out for it, I feel like I've seen the whole movie. But yeah, I do want to see it. Only thing that I don't want to greenlight is in one of the trailers you see Taika Waititi rapping, and nobody should greenlight that. But besides that, yeah, sure, why not? Watch the trailer, you'll see what I mean. But yeah, thumbs up. It's cringy, Shane. It's cringy.
I'm half expecting him to be a cringy villain. He's supposed to be stupid and idiotic, but I don't know. Haven't seen the movie yet. But Alex, are you going to greenlight Free Guy?
So, man, this is tough because I'm not going to watch this on my own. You would have to, once again, I watch it with y'all or watch it with a group of
friends and beer.
Yes, I think there's a few drinks attached to this one for me based on what I'm seeing. But so I guess I'm not going to greenlight it only because it just doesn't appeal to me based on what I've seen. But the crazy thing about that, as I say it, and act like I'm pretentious or something, is that I probably would get a kick out of it because Ryan Reynolds is funny, Yeah, it probably would be very entertaining.
Oh, honestly, if Ryan Reynolds wasn't in this, I don't think I would be greenlighting this.
Yeah, I think that has a big part. I think that plays a big factor in it.
So, I am greenlighting it. I'm pretty excited about this. I think and from some of the early reactions coming out, it has apparently a lot of heart. It's really funny and surprising, and I'm like, okay, I'm down. But just plainly based off of the cast and the marketing, it looks funny. And I feel like as somebody who grew up playing a lot of video games, I could enjoy the premise of an NPC just being one day it's I want to be a good guy now. And Ryan Reynolds and Lil Rel's in it as a supporting character, and Taika Waititi. So I'm down. But next we have Respect. So an Aretha Franklin biopic starring Jennifer Hudson, and I want to double check. I know Forrest Whitaker's also in it. Marlon Wayans is in it. Mark Maron's in it. I saw him have a small part. I think he's a record producer or something in it.
That's good.
This is from Liesl Tommy, the director. I'm checking what she's done before. She was a director on Jessica Jones, and it looks like The Walking Dead.
Oh wow.
Cool.
a little bit. So, and this Netflix movie, Dolly Parton's Heartstrings, which was a series.
Oh nice.
So, you got Jennifer Hudson playing Aretha Franklin. So, Matt, are you going to greenlight this movie?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up with her music, so like I feel like I have to just because there are a couple of songs I would want to see. I would want to hear Jennifer Hudson sing, but not just listen to the like the soundtrack, because I remember like Dreamgirls, and there was like a really awesome like powerfulness about just like watching her sing. Like, she has like a really interesting presence, which got her an Oscar. So like yeah, why not?
Wow.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah.
To piggyback off of that about Dreamgirls, I remember finally getting around to watching that for the first time, and obviously like Beyonce and Jennifer Hudson are great. Eddie Murphy in that movie kills it. And I was so happy, because, like, I've heard him sing in Shrek, because, like, Donkey could sing. And, like, actually seeing him sing as, like, and playing a singer in that was amazing. I love Dreamgirls. But, yeah, how about you, Alex? Are you going to greenlight Respect?
Yeah, no, I'll greenlight it for sure. There's so many biopics that I still haven't seen, you know.
Yeah.
But it would be I don't know a lot about Aretha Franklin. I know that song, and I know Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 3 going, Aretha Franklin. You know, that's what I know know about Aretha Franklin.
Yeah, 2 wrestling fans here.
Yeah, well,
And
I'll YouTube it later.
or at least former wrestling
recovering
fans.
wrestling fans.
I am a tangentially related wrestling fan, since like I keep up with it, but I actually haven't watched it in like a couple of years at least.
Yeah.
But for me, like I listened to Motown like a lot as a kid, and I remember watching the Blues Brothers and Think is such a great scene in that movie, and her as Mad Guitar Murphy's wife. And obviously, he's just like, and it's a great scene. Aretha Franklin's amazing. I've seen the trailer a couple times at this point. There's definitely moments in it where I'm just like, this feels like a movie. Because like they show her writing the song Respect, and like her 2 friends are like, Ree, like calling her Ree, and they're like, Ree. I'm like, but I think it's going to be a really entertaining biopic, and like Jennifer Hudson's going to be great, so I'm greenlighting it.
Yeah.
I'm always a stickler. Like I'm always like, I'll definitely watch a music biopic, including Walk Hard, which is a spoof of them. So I wanted to throw this one in here too. This is coming out on August 13th. And I've seen this already, so I'm not going to say anything. I got a screener for this. And this is new Apple TV Plus original Coda. And they bought this after Sundance for like $25 million to put this. And this is about a young woman. She's the only hearing member of her family. Both of her parents and her brother are deaf. And her family runs a boat. And they're fishermen. And she wants to become a singer.
Okay.
Which alienates her from her family because they can't hear her singing.
Oh, wow.
And so it's a small drama about this young woman chasing her dream about singing and trying to balance that with the relationship with her family. And famous deaf actress Marlee Matlin's in this, who got an Oscar nomination for Children of a Lesser God in the 80s, playing a deaf character, which was like, that was a big deal in the 80s. Because, like,
totally.
They didn't really have a whole lot of, like, actual actresses or actors that actually were deaf playing characters like that. So, to confirm, all of the actors who are playing deaf characters in this film are actually deaf.
Holy moly.
So,
Cool.
and CODA stands for Child of Deaf Adults. So that's where the title comes from, and also I guess it works in another way because it's also a music term.
Sure. Exactly.
So,
right.
Matt, are you going to greenlight CODA?
Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, did either of you see Sound of Metal?
No, I haven't seen it.
You should watch it.
It's on Amazon. It's an Amazon original, so you could just go on and watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy from Venom, which terrible.
Because he was also... So, Riz Ahmed was also in, like, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, and Sisters Brothers. So you could remember him, and Nightcrawler.
Hey.
So you can remember him from
yes.
those movies and not Venom. So
You're saving him. the life
like
yeah. Just forget everything. But yeah, no, that movie was awesome. This movie sounds interesting, and yeah, why not? Yeah, that sounds cool. You?
I mean, in terms of greenlighting, yes, that definitely. It sounds very bold and courageous and unique too. It sounds different as well. It's a very human story. So, yeah, I definitely check that out.
all I'm gonna say is a thumbs up.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything else because I can't release my review until like it actually comes out.
Oh, okay.
So on the 13th, but.
All right, if you say any more, I'll just tackle you.
Yep. So I'm going to bring this movie up because it's slated for August 20th, but I really don't think this is actually getting released at that date. So this is called Finch, and this is a sci-fi. So on a post-apocalyptic Earth, a robot built to protect the life of his creator's beloved dog learn about life, love, and friendship, and what it means to be human. And this is from director Miguel Sapochnik, who has done a lot of Game of Thrones. I'm pretty sure he did like the Battle of the Bastards episode and stuff like that. And this has Tom Hanks in it.
Oh, damn.
And I'm guessing he plays the robot. His name is Finch. And I'm going out on a limb here and saying that's probably the robot.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is actually coming out. It's on the release schedule according to releases.com. I know first showing, and that's what I usually use, and they're pretty up to date about things. But I haven't seen a trailer or anything for this, so I don't know if this is actually coming out then. But based off of the synopsis, the cast, and the director, Alex, are you going to
Sounds
greenlight
cool. That sounds really cool. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I definitely greenlight that. I mean,
It's like Tom Hanks, greenlight.
I would have greenlighted it before you said Tom Hanks, but once you said to him, I was like, wow, that's really interesting. So he's been taking some different roles. I guess he's always taken different roles, but they had a consistent kind of through line. But these last couple feel a little different for him. So that's neat.
How about you, Matt?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of other things that I've seen in the past. I feel like, but I'm curious what he would do differently. And because when I think of Tom Hanks, I think of kind of like a certain feel to a lot of his movies, being kind of like moral of the story, and like there's like a sugar coating, and there's like a
Unless it's Road to Perdition.
It's a very
Road to Perdition in it.
That was a really cool movie. Yeah.
Sam Mendes.
Yeah, that was like a gut punch.
Yeah.
Multiple actually.
Oh damn! Holy crap! But there's a moral kind of thing with everything he does. So yeah.
I would definitely greenlight that based off of just all the information we know about it. So I don't even need to see a trailer. Actually, most of the time I don't want to see trailers anymore, to be perfectly honest. I don't know if I need to bring this up, but I'm going to bring this up because it's a wide release and also coming out on Paramount Plus on August 20th. Paw Patrol the movie.
Paw Patrol. Oh, Paw Patrol.
Yep.
Paul, not Paul. Not like guy's named Paul.
Nope.
You know, like Paul.
As in a dog paw. Do I need to ask?
I'm resisting.
No, not really, man. I mean, you know.
Obviously, the Paw Patrol, the movie, is not made for us.
No, it's
I'm glad for all the little kids out there that love Paw Patrol that they're getting a movie. So good for you. And I'll be watching it. And luckily it's on Paramount Plus, so then I don't have to pay for it. So, because like that kind of thing is not something like I'm excited to spend money to go watch. So at least it's on Paramount Plus. It makes me feel better about having the subscription. Because honestly, all I've really watched is SpongeBob, Sponge on the Run, Camp Coral, the spin-off of... I thought it was fine. Like, it's a SpongeBob show.
they're funny.
The new Rugrats I haven't gotten around to watch, but I am watching the iCarly revival. I never watched iCarly as a kid, so it seems fine. I get some chuckles every so often. I get the vibe of what this is supposed to be, but I did start watching Picard, which I've never watched Star Trek: The Next Generation, so I don't know how lost I'm going to be by the time I finish this first season, but I watched the first 2 episodes and I loved it without context,
cool.
So maybe I'm better for that because I really, really like the Masters of the Universe Revelations, and I've never watched He-Man. But apparently, if you have watched He-Man, you're really pissed off right now at Kevin Smith. So, I don't know. But Paw Patrol, good for all the little kiddos out there that are getting their Paw Patrol movie.
Interesting.
So this one's an interesting one because Lionsgate has another action movie coming out. Lionsgate brought us John Wick and like a laundry list of other like mid-budget like action movies. And rescued as a child by a legendary assassin played by Samuel L. Jackson, Maggie Q plays this assassin after her mentor is killed, winds up going to blows with this man played by Michael Keaton. So
Wow.
you have Samuel L. Jackson, Michael Q, which I don't think Samuel L. Jackson's going to be in this movie very long. And they give that away in the trailer, first of all, that they kill him, so don't get mad at me. And Michael Keaton's in it, Maggie Q's in it, which I remember her from Live Free and Die Hard.
Oh, wow.
But this is what interested me personally about this. This is from director Martin Campbell. So we're going to forget Green Lantern, but this is the guy who made GoldenEye, Casino Royale,
Dude.
and Edge of Darkness,
Whoa.
which I only jokingly call Lethal Weapon 5. But it's a crime thriller with Mel Gibson in it from I think it was either right before or after his whole Mel Gibson-y thing. That,
Rage.
Yeah.
Crazy bastard.
Getting drunk and blaming the Jews for all the woes in the world.
Not recommended.
No.
Not recommended.
I do like Edge of Darkness, though. So, I'm a fan of Martin Campbell's films, minus Green Lantern, which I don't really think that, I'm going to save that tirade for another time. I'll talk to you both later about it. But, based off of the synopsis, the director, the cast, Matt, are you going to greenlight Protégé?
Hit me with a trailer first. It didn't. The description didn't necessarily grab me, so hit me with a trailer first.
It's a pretty standard action movie trailer, to be honest. So.
Skip. Okay, so then red light. Send it to hell.
Okay.
So send it to hell.
Ah, interesting.
Because even if a movie is good-ish, if it's forgettable, then kind of what's the point? I feel like I'm gonna forget even talking about this movie in the next 5 minutes.
We're talking about a lot of them, and I doubt that this is going to be the one that we're going to remember.
Yeah.
But Alex, what are your thoughts?
I was going to greenlight it only because, yes, the talent involved. He has made some very good movies.
Yes.
I mean, and I can see from some of the pictures you're pulling up on your phone, it looks very dimly lit, dark, almost noirish.
And it definitely has it has a John Wick look to it.
Oh, okay.
Kind of thing.
So I'm not gonna red light it. I'm gonna green light it.
So throw out, so Martin Campbell's last film was The Foreigner.
Yeah.
Which I wish I loved because it had Jackie Chan in it and Pierce Brosnan, and Jackie Chan was great in it. Then Green Lantern. Well, actually, it doesn't look like he's done a whole lot since Green Lantern, unfortunately. But he also did Mask of Zorro, which, despite the fact that there's some problematic casting in that movie, looking back from 1998, is a fun movie. Yeah. Antonio Banderas is a Spaniard playing a Mexican. Honestly, everybody else has cast him as a Mexican, so I don't think anybody's going to notice any different. But Anthony Hopkins as a Mexican was interesting.
Inspired.
Yeah.
It was not
that's a way to put it, Matt. That is a way to put it.
Cancel me.
So next we have, I forgot to mention this about Suicide Squad. That's a theatrical release, but also HBO Max. Because every Warner Brothers film is coming out on HBO Max. I can keep this straight, it's fine. We have Reminiscence, which is also getting theater and HBO Max on August 20th. A scientist discovers a way to relive your past and uses the technology to search for his long-lost love. So it's mystery, science fiction, and this is from director Lisa Joy, who, she's one of the co-creators of Westworld, along with Jonathan Nolan, and starring Hugh Jackman, Rebecca Ferguson, Thandie Newton, which is not surprising after I found out it's from the creators of Westworld. A couple of seems like some solid character actors here too. But like the big selling point is this is a Hugh Jackman movie.
Right.
So Matt, are you gonna greenlight Reminiscence?
No, not really. The trailers seem so like cookie cutter, and the only thing I like about the trailer is the trailer song, and I don't know what song that is. I can't find it. I'm pissed, but
it's just like the boom, 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 like the.
Mm-hmm. It's like something that's like probably something that everybody knows, but it's like slowed down.
It's not.
Bra, bra,
Yeah.
bra, 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 bra.
Hey, it's not my fault that everybody wants to sound like Hans Zimmer.
Oh yeah, I know, right? Well, we were watching that movie with Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, and just like,
Yeah.
did Hans Zimmer do the score
Yeah.
too?
Right. Yeah. No. Exactly. It was one of the music supervisors from The Dark Knight.
Yep.
Who did the score for Tomorrow War?
The Tomorrow War.
Yeah. So it made sense. Fun. It was fun.
It was fun.
It was fun.
There's more I thought about it. There were some really bad acting moments from Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
I have to do it. What? There were some times where I'm like, Chris McKay, the director, should have been like, Chris, let's do another take. But did not.
Look, he is at his best when he's being funny.
Yep.
He is so funny. And sometimes you watch these stars get into these action movie roles where they have to be tough guys, and it doesn't come off well because it's not natural.
I promise we'll get back to Reminiscence. But Chris Pratt feels like that kind of actor that is going to be straitjacketed by too much of a straight script.
Yeah, the same thing happened to Harrison Ford. I was watching Working Girl was on the other day. Mike Nichols, and
they honestly just cast him because
Harrison Ford's really good in that.
Yeah.
Because he gets to be a combination of I'm Harrison Ford, and then he gets to act like a smartass. Han Solo. That's Harrison Ford, but when he has to be like, my family, where's my family? Get off my plane, all for 90 minutes. It's like...
Oh, come on, you don't like Air Force One? Get off my plane.
I like the line, but the performance as a whole was stale. It becomes stale toast by 2000, whatever. So all I'm saying is
angry Harrison Ford pointing at things.
Yeah. Just switch the samples, right?
That's I love The Fugitive.
Switch the samples. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. Don't get me wrong. Yeah.
And Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee Jones does steal it.
But I
don't care.
If you're a fan of acting, though, and I've been an actor, and I kind of know what comes naturally to me and what doesn't, and I can see what comes naturally to some, especially men, and what doesn't. The tough guy thing it's overrated. It doesn't.
Well, to be honest, Harrison Ford's better as a vulnerable hero. Look, Indiana Jones gets his ass kicked all the time.
True.
All the time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
But as far as Reminiscence goes, I disagree. I'm going to greenlight only because, yes, Hugh Jackman doesn't know everything he's in is great, but he is good, and I do like the idea that it's basically all the criminals come out during the day because I guess climate change messed everything up, and so it's too hot during the day. That's why everybody comes out at night. It's like the temperature rises so much during the day. Correct me if I'm wrong. And so I was like, that sounds actually a little like where we're headed. And so that's an element of the story.
I'm gonna greenlight this in spite of the trailer because the trailer didn't sell me. At the end of that trailer, I'm like, I got the feel of the movie, but I'm just like, what the hell is this movie about? It's one of those kinds of trailers where you're just like...
Plus, it's going to be interesting to see post-Wolverine, the sorts of stuff that he's been taking, and now...
The Greatest Showman was a passion project for him, which he's amazing in, but the real P.T. Barnum was an utter despicable scumbag.
Oh,
and also, his P.T. Barnum isn't even that likable. And if it wasn't for Hugh Jackman, you wouldn't like him.
Right.
That's one of those kinds of things. Because,
Yeah,
dude wasn't a great guy. And wasn't reliable husband.
That's the thing. Will he work with a director that could, like, cast him in, like, a despicable role that we really hate him? Because he's such a nice guy, you know, in real life.
I'm trying to think if I've actually hated him. Well, not gonna lie, he played 2 roles in The Prestige. I did hate the one.
Interesting.
And, like, he played it really well, but it's also Christopher Nolan. So, like, at least there's at least a talented director there. I'm not going to say, like, because, like, I don't think acting's the thing that most people talk about from Christopher Nolan movies. But I want to see him do more.
That one they do. Because that's my favorite Nolan film.
Oh, my God.
Really?
Yeah, Prestige, without a doubt.
Until Interstellar, which that just checked all of my sci-fi boxes off. Prestige was my favorite.
I think, for me, I think Dark Knight, technically, and the ride that Dark Knight takes you on is like, okay, that's hard to, like, top, but acting, story, just, you know, the relationships of the Prestige kind of puts that over the top for me.
I'm greenlighting for Hugh Jackman, but I also want to add he should do more movies with Denis Villeneuve. Because Prisoners was amazing.
Oh, that's another good example. Like,
he killed it.
Oh man!
And we're wrapping things up in terms of our coming attractions for the very last weekend of August. The Candyman. So.
Oh damn!
So this spiritual sequel, I'm using air quotes because IMDb is using quotes, to the horror film Candyman that returns to the now gentrified Chicago neighborhood where the legend began. And this is from Nia DaCosta, who did Little Woods, and actually she's directing the next Captain Marvel movie.
Okay.
Which, this is another one of those situations where it's like, it looks like they're doing some great indie stuff, so let's like, throw them on a big superhero movie.
It happens.
But Jordan Peele is producing this with his Monkey Paw Productions. And you have Yahya Abdul Mateen II, Teyonah Parris, Coleman Domingo. I just love him and his voice and what he does in this trailer. And, like...
That's the guy from Zola, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And also, he was great in Ma Rainey, too.
Still need to see that.
That's a Netflix film, so
yeah.
Another one where at least it's easily accessible when you get around to it. And you don't have to pay any money, because you know people with accounts.
Why is this so secret? This is so weird, dude. No, because
I don't want Netflix to find me.
I don't like to abuse that privilege, my friend. Only for film club. Only for film club.
Which we'll be talking about Pan's Labyrinth, which I'm excited about.
That's right. I have the DVD of that, so.
I do too. I'm pretty sure that might be the one where we're all like,
yes,
got our copy.
Yes.
Oh yeah. That's right.
So I'll get to what my thoughts on this. Matt, are you gonna greenlight Candyman?
Yeah. I saw the first one. Didn't want to see the other ones. I love the first one. I don't make it. I never went out of my way, and I'm 28 years old. I never went out of my way to say Candyman 5 times. And I still don't choose to. So yeah, why not? I'm gonna watch the movie, and I'm still gonna keep my head.
Well, because generally that's a stupid white person thing.
And then let's split up. Like,
and like,
let's
look,
get naked and then
look, this house.
Though.
You know, this house is beautiful, but they just told us that somebody died in here. But let's totally buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
So Eddie Murphy tried to tell all of us white people in the 80s, like, a white family goes into a house where somebody was murdered, and it's just like, oh, this is such a lovely house. A black family goes like, get out! And obviously that's where the title from Get Out came.
Yes. I didn't know that.
Yes,
that's crazy. That's perfect.
Yep.
Man.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Which also the new title, yeah, the title for his next film, Nope.
Nope.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because most of these situations, people should just nope out on.
Right.
But, you know, a bunch of dumb teenagers would totally go into a bathroom and be like, Candyman. Or Bloody Mary,
Yeah.
or Biggie Smalls after that episode of South Park.
Yeah. And he shoots you, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that.
Alex, are you gonna greenlight Candyman?
Wild.
So this looks more like a straight horror.
Oh, I'm gonna get to that.
That's why I usually don't. It's not that I'm not gonna greenlight. I'm just gonna give it like, can I get a hall pass, because I don't watch straight horror.
Alex is gonna be like, I'm gonna greenlight this because it's gonna be great, but goodbye.
It sounds
you can
like
watch this.
it sounds like it would be. It's cool, but I don't usually watch straight horror movies because I'm a baby. But,
to be honest, so it's funny, I write for a magazine called Scare Magazine, and I do a bunch of horror reviews now, but I never used to watch horror movies, and this trailer terrifies me. Like, every time I sit in the theater watching this, I'm just like, no. And this hour and 31-minute movie is going to be terrifying.
Totally.
And if it's not, I'm going to be shocked, because it looks terrifying. Yeah. So I'm 100% greenlighting this, because this looks like...
It looks scary.
This might be... Yeah. This looks like it could be top tier horror movies this year.
I also like I like that one shot in the trailer where it's like, I don't know how to put it, like the skyscrapers are going, like it's like there's like a bunch of fog in the skies, the skyscrapers are going up into the fog, but the whole shot is like reversed. It's almost like buildings are going down. Like, I don't know. I just like that. I just like that. I think it's gonna probably be like beautiful.
The actual filmmaking that you see in the trailer is breathtaking too. I'm just like, this looks amazing. See,
it's hard for me because like the way you guys describe it, like, shit, actually sounds like a really good movie. So
and then you're just gonna be like curled up in. So like when I finally watched The Babadook, I was in the fetal position on my couch. Watching it.
I tried so hard to get Shane. He was like, "Yeah, I'll get to it." Shane told me that like 4 times.
Man, the cover was scaring the shit out of me. It was like,
I gave it.
I gave it back to you. It's like, dude, the freaking cover scares the shit out of me. I'm not watching this movie.
Middle of the day.
Middle of the day.
Blinds all open. Living room, shared space. Curled up in a ball on the couch because.
Yeah.
Oh man, see, just hearing you say oh my god, man.
Just the scene in the car, midday, broad daylight, in the movie.
Damn.
Nope.
She conquers it, and she makes it she makes it her pet, so it's okay. So you don't have to be afraid of it.
It makes it her bitch.
Yeah. She feeds it worms in a bowl.
Yeah.
Oh,
Spoiler alert. She conquers her depression.
I'm gonna go home and watch Homeward Bound or something.
Yeah,
but that's gonna make you sad. Watch something stupid like Step Brothers.
Didn't they make it? Didn't the 2 out of 3 dogs make it at the end or something?
They all make it, but like it's still sad.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. I mean, come on.
Come on. You gotta watch something that's just dumb. Like throw in Step Brothers, throw in like the other guys, just something stupid.
Right.
And you're just, unless you're afraid of tuna.
I love tuna.
That whole entire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So those are all the coming attractions for the month of August, and if you notice that this was a little more than usual, is because I started to realize that we're not doing coming attractions for the movie club episode, so I figured we'd just hit them all like.
For sure, man. Yeah.
Get all the month movies out of the way. Now it's time to talk about Tarantino. So. Yeah. Which anybody who's been who followed my director's tournament might be any of our Tarantino fans. That was a hard loss to Christopher Nolan, 9 votes to 8. He should have come out. He should have voted for Tarantino. In the final 5. I'm excited to see who's the next director after Stanley Kubrick. But here we're talking about Tarantino, who I know all of us are huge fans of.
Oh yeah.
I'm probably just judging based off of how much you both love his movies, I'm probably the one lowest in terms of how much I love Tarantino, but I still love Tarantino.
Sure.
Also, those following the Filmstagram 100, number 4 came out today, and it was Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
So it won last year, so it dropped down to number 4. So it looks like Goodfellas, The Godfather, and 2001: A Space Odyssey are left.
That's
So
that's tough competition.
it is tough competition. I still would have put Pulp Fiction over Goodfellas. But that's
Me
just
too, but Goodfellas is a damn good film. Yeah.
I always wanted to be a gangster.
Amazing. Yeah. Tarantino is a
Yep.
quick intro. He's just the fulcrum for me with cinema because I started watching his movies when I was 14. I saw Pulp, and then I saw Reservoir Dogs, and had seen those movies when I was a little kid. Thought they were like, why do people like this? I was only like 9 or 10. But then when I was 14, I saw Pulp, and it just changed my whole world. So since then, his movies, because they're mature enough and the characters are complex enough and rich enough to kind of keep me coming back as I get older. Some of his stuff, doesn't age as well for me, which I might get into, but he makes me excited about cinema. His movies make me excited about cinema, and so that's why I'm a big fan, not just because of his movies, but his touch to things actually makes me want to get back into movies.
I feel like he's also like excited about cinema, which then it adds to like your pleasure, because it's like, oh wow, like I sort of get what he was doing there. Like, oh, he's doing that thing. Oh wow, like those little deep cuts that only people that like really truly care about like movies, like obviously like you can watch like that scene in Kill Bill at the end, and it's like, oh okay, yeah, that was cool. But if you've seen like a bunch of like kung fu movies from like the 70s or something like that.
Case
like,
in point.
Okay, yeah.
So I recently watched
Yeah.
the 36th Chamber of Shaolin,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh my god, so much from Kill Bill.
Sure. Oh, yeah,
And
absolutely.
Specifically just Cha Hu Lu, who played 2 different roles in Kill Bill.
Right, Gordon Liu.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like even just the whole like Charlie Brown guy with his outfit straight out of 36.
There's a
Chamber
lot of
Shaolin.
references I think that go straight over our heads unless we go back and watch a lot of that stuff. But even, and this can be seen as a criticism, like if you watch Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, one of the samurai battles in that movie, the way it's edited, it's like, oh, that looks like House of Blue Leaves. Like the way he edited a lot of that stuff, you could tell he saw it and went, okay, that's how I can do it, And it's still its own thing. There's a lot more going on in the House of Blue Leaves sequence. This samurai battle you could tell between 2 samurai. He kind of saw that, or at least it looked like it, and he used that editing style for the House of Blue Leaves sequence in Volume 1. So he's definitely a student of the game, and he's not afraid to use that, when he makes his films. Some people might knock him for that. I
feel like every director does that. So
yeah,
it's
that's
just
a different
he's
topic.
just more there with it.
Yeah.
And like pulpy about it, because like he wants you to know that he loves cinema, and because like Scorsese does stuff like that all the time too, from like like French film, like he's a huge Godard fan, and like utilizing stuff like that. It's just Tarantino, like that's part of his like persona.
Paying homage is a big piece of the cinema.
So
certainly.
So each of us are going to bring a little topic to the table. Do we have anybody who'd like to go first?
I can go first because mine's like kind of like the smallest probably.
Okay.
Okay, so when you watch all of his movies, I think that anybody would walk out of any of his movies and go, wow, like, he's really subtle. No, I'm kidding. No, he's like so very much like, in your face in terms of like really awesome stuff. So let's say like the violence and the cursing, and it's interesting. There's like tiny little things that are happening. Like I saw Pulp Fiction a couple days ago, and you in that scene where what is it? Before Marvin is inside the back of the car, they're inside that apartment, and when Jules is doing like the Bible verse line, you see in the background Vincent already knows what's about to happen, so he's getting ready. You see, like, his gun is, like, ready, like, kind of coming out. Like, there's tiny little things tiny little choices that he probably made. He's like, wait, let's do that again, and I want you to do that. Like, he's definitely, and that was what, his, like, second? Yeah, second, like, feature film? Yeah, fantastic. He's awesome, and there's a lot there. The movies are very rich, but the downside is that they're also very rich in, like, other things that might not be so great. Like, I know,
like feet.
Like feet. Oh my goodness, Death Proof. Wow, that's a lot of feet. And then also, Once Upon a Time.
I didn't
That's a lot of feet.
I didn't get to see Margaret Qualley's feet like up in my business.
Yeah,
like right up on the windshield.
Yeah.
But he did. So
yeah, that's what he wanted.
He needed it, so we got it.
Yeah.
Didn't bother me, but I guess I'm alone here.
It's like I think it's a thing where, like, if you point out that Tom Cruise's front teeth are off center, you're never going to be able to unsee it.
Thought he had that fixed after The Outsiders. It's still there. Oh damn.
Well, no, he had broken teeth.
Oh, okay.
No, his front teeth are off center.
Oh,
so next time you see Tom Cruise, you're not going to be able to unsee it. You're welcome.
I got you.
So it's like that thing when somebody like I never noticed the feet in Tarantino movies until the internet made a big deal about. Now I'm just like feet.
So
With
Death Proof, the first shot is her feet, hanging on the dashboard while the car is driving.
Yeah,
so it's obviously
like
it's obviously a joke. Like I saw that in the theater. And everybody laughed. Immediately, everyone started laughing because they knew it was. Oh yeah, foot fetish.
He was leading into it.
Yeah, totally. But is that the topic?
So that's good stuff. I mean, it's kind of all of it. So like, there's good stuff and there's maybe not like some not so great stuff that someone can sort of like walk away with. So I know like a lot of people think that he's kind of like a misogynist sometimes because of like the situations that he puts certain characters in. It's almost kind of like torturing almost. Very specifically with women, or maybe sometimes like the racial stuff, because he writes all of his movies.
Yes.
Yeah. So he gets characters. Like I would love to read like an entire script to see how he actually like write. Is he just saying, hey, just like goof around, or is he actually like writing all lines of dialogue? But
I feel like him.
He's probably
wrote all. Like yeah.
Yeah. So like he's. So like that's something to kind of like that's like a hard thing that's a hard like okay, I'm gonna like his movies. Oh wow, that's really uncomfortable. Like there were like multiple times in Pulp Fiction, like not just the one where the famous where he's just kind of like going off, but even these tiny little random things where it's like, wow, okay, was that even necessary? So like that's one thing, or maybe even just the violence in general. Like there's not really a lot of racial stuff inside of Kill Bill, but oh man. If you see like somebody's arm gets cut off, it's not like, oh my arm got cut off and I fell on the floor. It's like it's a geyser. So
yeah,
it's like a double-edged sword.
Now, is it because he can definitely be
indulgent. Like he's like I'm Tarantino. I'm going to do whatever I want.
He's definitely okay. So he's becoming more and more indulgent as he's getting older because that's for sure. But. What I'm hearing you're saying, are you saying that his stuff is heavy-handed,
I'm just saying how other people might take it.
Right.
I'm okay with it. I actually think Pulp Fiction is my favorite movie of all time, mostly because it made me get it sort of Pulp Fiction. I saw Pulp Fiction the same weekend I saw Kill Bill, and
oh wow,
yeah, so that was a really interesting weekend.
Sure,
very very violent weekend.
Right, but some of the violence is certainly exploitive. Or exploitative in that sense of some of the exploitation movies of the 1970s, grindhouse movies, and the way that they would use blood in a Hong Kong movie. So are you saying like it's that sense that like you said you used before we got on, you said too much, like it's like whoa,
I feel like anyone can make. I can say, I like Tarantino, and then somebody across from me can say, I think he's too much, and I would have no problem hearing that sentence. Like, even like Reservoir Dogs, when, like, you see, like, like the whole back seat is bathed in the guy's blood. And he's like holding his abdomen.
Which the funny thing is that at least that, like even going back to like Reservoir Dogs, at least it feels grittier. You have stuff like the shootout at Candyland.
Oh yeah.
Which like getting grotesquely, like honestly, kind of darkly funny at a point. Like this is just getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because like people are getting like, how many bullets can get shot into a body Jamie Foxx is using as like a human shield at one point? It's just like, and it's just like slow motion. And it's just like yes.
That was the Hong Kong. That was like a Hong Kong, blood splatter thing with bullets.
Yeah, watching I've seen clips of Hard Boiled. I haven't seen all Hard Boiled. Like that John Woo, like just big, like it's big and in your face kind of thing. And like I felt, well, for most of it, I thought Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was like a little bit more restrained. And then 2 scenes.
He reminded you who he was.
And that little thing with like Al Pacino's like just love the violence. And like talking about like anybody order fried sauerkraut and just like lighting all the Nazis on fire. Like I thought, okay, that's one scene in this whole movie, and then you get to the end, and then you're just like, oh, this is a Tarantino film again.
Right.
There, but like. It's funny that you said that he's getting... I thought, like, watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I'm like, I thought he was getting more mature as he got older. Mm-hmm. And, like, obviously, that takes on a whole other thing in terms of, like, his last 4 films are, like, historical type films.
Yes.
And that could bring in a whole other perspective, like, being exploitive with history. And real people, because I know that's been a hot topic of his, especially with like the Bruce Lee thing. Honestly, that didn't even bother me that much.
No, I know. We talked about that, but yes.
The ending, I thought was an odd choice. Because there's a film that did this even so much worse, which was called The Haunting of Sharon Tate, which just turned her last weekend into a horror movie.
Yeah.
With Hilary Duff in it. Hilary Duff. It was a horrible movie. But, like, I just felt like it was so exploitative of Sharon Tate. And, like... Yeah.
Was she pregnant, too? Wasn't she, like... She was murdered while she was pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is, like...
If you're interested in learning a lot about, like, Manson-era Hollywood, You Must Remember This is a great podcast. And they had a whole entire, like, 12-episode series setting up, like, where Hollywood was at the time. There's, like, a whole episode just about the Beach Boys. Because, like, obviously, they were there for the Beach Boys. Right. Or, like, at least, what's his face? One of the Wilson brothers. Because that was his house. And, like...
Going back in the day.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
So, like... that's the thing, I definitely know people who are just like, my mom does not like Pulp Fiction. And the funny thing is, she loves action movies, but, like, when they get too bloody and violent, which the irony here is, like, they're more realistic as they are. Because, like, you could watch, like, a lot of movies where you, like, Expendables. Yeah. Especially the third one, which is PG-13. And they kill hundreds of people. But, like, that's fine. But, like, you put blood in it, like, that's a whole different story. Yeah. So
blocks of heroin. It's like, but it's PG-13 because nobody's doing heroin.
Oh, no, I meant Pulp Fiction.
No, Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, I was going to say.
There was no heroin in Expendables 3.
How often do you watch someone in a movie do heroin and enjoy it? And
well, you
drive around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only seen Trainspotting. So you don't want to
much less enjoyable. No. But it was a very honest scene when they do it.
Well, there is a reason why people do it originally.
Yes, right. It feels really good, apparently. John Travolta actually talks about doing the research for that and trying to, because he refused to do actual drugs, but he spoke to a heroin addict and said, "You got to give me something. Yeah, you got to give me something. Tell me something that helps me get into the vibe of what I would feel if I got high on heroin. He said like, okay, well then, I forget exactly what he said, but he said, drink like half a bottle of tequila, and then go take a really hot bath, and just kind of let yourself float in the bathtub, and will get you close to what it feels like to shoot.
Did that person do that to compare?
No, I think they had known that, and so they were trying to give him something so he can get an idea of what it would feel like to be high on heroin.
I guess that person drank half a bottle of tequila at some
Maybe.
point and floated in their bathtub.
Maybe.
And was like, you know what this feels like?
Yeah.
I've been told.
That was Josh Travolta's research.
Yeah.
So.
That's funny.
I definitely, I'm with you, Matt. Like to be honest, I've watched very violent movies my whole entire life. I watched The Godfather when I was 10 years old. But
also verbally aggressive too. Like that's something else that you have to. But then he'll also do stuff. But then like on the positive side, like he'll have characters just talk about literally nothing, and that can be
waitresses,
leaving
tips.
Yeah, just leaving tips, or like in Death Proof, they're just talking about like, oh yeah, I hooked up with this guy and he's not a good kisser, or like, oh yeah, so we're gonna
Death
do this.
Proof is like 95%
banter,
just talking about other shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that's like I remember watching that for the first time and being like, this really is just like talking about whatever.
Yeah, is it gonna come back around? Oh no! Oh okay, they're just talking.
And then there's like,
Yeah.
how much of that movie do you feel like actual like the narrative of like a predatory like serial killer with a car?
Feels like just for me, since I'm going to be talking about that a little bit with
You
my
know what?
top.
Let's hold it. We'll get to it because we're going to be talking about it.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about it. But I guess what I was going to say is I do think that there's some stuff that's really just there for the characters.
Yeah.
And for you you're there to hang out with it. And I feel like in Reservoir Dogs, like you said, tipping the waitresses, this is the world's smallest violin.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most memorable scenes from the movie.
Well, also, fun fact, who narked on Mr. Pink for not paying the tip?
Yeah. Oh.
Mr. Orange.
Oh yeah, that's that. Yeah. Good point. Very good. So I think it was a little. I think Reservoir Dogs is a wiser, ironically, more mature screenplay. Maybe not necessarily directed film, but I think the screenplay is more mature than Death Proof. Because Death Proof is a hey, let's go have fun, Robert Rodriguez. Let's go make some B horror movies, but give it really big budgets. So I think that. I mean, that stuff that Siskel and Ebert called letting it run on sloppy, where the dialogue kind of keeps going and they're making pop cultural references. It's this way of kind of like hanging out with the characters and getting to know the characters.
What did they say about Richard Linklater movies?
Interesting. That's an interesting point.
Something similar.
Well, Linklater is like... That's Linklater.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Before Sunrise.
The Ford trilogy is literally just them walking around and talking.
Exactly.
This is observations.
Yeah. And like Dazed and Confused, Everybody Wants Some, Last Flag Flying. Like most of the there's very few of them that are actually like narrative based.
Right.
And which the funny thing is, it's School of Rock. The Bad News Bears remake, and Bernie are the ones that come to mind.
When he does like the non-talky ones, they're not quite as memorable, to be honest with you. I don't think they're quite as good. I don't think they feel like he's doing a job. He's not making a Linklater film.
I don't know why he made Bad News Bears, but Billy Bob Thornton is a great butter maker, and that's like the only memorable thing in the movie. But I still enjoy it. Like, I enjoy both Bad News Bears.
They're not bad movies.
I love School of Rock, but, like, School of Rock's not getting nominated for an Oscar.
Right.
Like Boyhood or something.
Yeah, right,
Boyhood.
exactly. Boyhood was crazy.
Bernie, though. Have either of you seen Bernie?
No.
You both should watch Bernie. It's a really interesting film. Jack Black is great in it, Shirley MacLaine, and Matthew McConaughey is a district attorney in it trying to take down Jack Black, and he's just like this West Texas, like, I'm gonna take this guy down. kind of.
See that? Yeah.
And it's great. It's such a weird movie. It's like a kind of a mockumentary.
Okay. Oh wow. Oh, interesting.
Because it's about this true crime thing. This actually happened.
Oh damn.
But we're not here to talk about Richard Linklater. We're here to talk about Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. But that's
Tangents.
cool.
But like that's the thing, because like I've watched too many movies. I've watched so many movies, but like there's definitely movies like even just trying to narrow it. Like this year, Infinite with Mark Wahlberg in it, 95% exposition, and you're just like, why am I watching this movie? And like when you watch a film like that where it's just nonstop exposition, and like one of my biggest criticisms of Christopher Nolan is there's just too much exposition in his movies. Of some of his movies, that was one of my biggest issues with Tenet.
Yes.
Because like I felt like this movie was trying to not only try to explain things to me, but also talk down to me, which I didn't appreciate. But no, Tarantino's the complete opposite.
Right.
Like there's a very small portion of dialogue that's actually expositional in this film.
You just get dropped in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like something like my personal favorite, Inglourious Bastards, which also has its moments of being way too much, like shooting Adolf Hitler like 50 bullets at him,
and it's not like the camera kind of like goes away, like you see like
skin flying,
yeah,
and stuff like that. But like if somebody tries to argue that the intro to Inglourious Bastards isn't one of the most amazing scenes ever put to film, I don't know what the hell's wrong with it.
It's a great scene.
That should be milk. Why is that water? It should be milk. That should be milk.
It should be a milkshake.
Yeah. $5 milkshake?
We might get one of those.
Daniel Plainview will drink it up. No matter how much it was.
I need to see a supercut.
Because he's not paying for it. He's going to slurp it out from under you.
I need to see a supercut of all milkshakes in all films.
But yeah,
someone do that, please.
So,
Christoph Waltz came out of nowhere.
Can I make a comment on it? Because I think that the main thing here that we're talking about is the heavy-handedness of the way he's decided to use the violence a lot of times, or the content. Heavy-handed either way. And what's so funny is that eventually you're going to talk about Jackie Brown, which is the least heavy-handed thing that he ever did. That was the third movie he made.
Yep.
A lot of times people talk about like mature and mature. He's getting older and he's maturing, and you can look at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and say, oh, it's mature. And then he gets to the third act and he goes, yeah.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. Because I think he would disagree that just because you mature doesn't mean that you can't satisfy the audience with kind of what he feels that they're buying a ticket for a Tarantino movie, which I'm going to talk about a little bit. Because I do think that, when you go see a Metallica concert, you want Metallica, you don't want them to go cover Hall & Oates. You're going to hear Metallica. And when you see a Tarantino movie...
I 100% don't want them covering Leonard Skinner.
Right, yeah.
Because...
they
covered Tuesday's Gone.
Oh,
not my jam.
Not from James Hetfield. Same thing with Tarantino. He knows you're buying a ticket to see a Tarantino film. And so, Once Upon a Time, that wasn't the case. But since Pulp Fiction, he's realized, I need to make Tarantino films, not Elmore Leonard films. So that has kind of played a big piece in his decision making in his career. The heavy-handedness, I think, has less to do with what age he's at. I think it has less to do. I think he's doing that because he's Tarantino. He can get away with it, and quite frankly, I think he just enjoys that.
And also, it's been reinforced. I think.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I can get deeper into my own butt, or I can gaze into my navel just a little bit more. Oh, wait, people still pay for me? Okay, more.
Right.
And if you're down for that, then that's fine. But if you're not down for that,
it's not your thing.
That's not your thing. But it's understandable if other people are not down for that. There's many jagged pills.
The biggest shame, though, because I have my aunt, for example, she won't watch the Tarantino movie because she hates violence in movies.
Mhm.
The biggest shame is she'll never be able to appreciate the characters and the storytelling and the music that he uses and the way it gets edited and all the beautiful pieces of cinema that he's been able to put together because she hates the violence. You know, so if someone says, hey, watch the first 2/3 of Once Upon a Time, don't watch the last 15 minutes, she's just going to go, no, you know what, I'm just not going to watch it.
Yeah.
Because when she hears the word Tarantino, it's like telling my 60-some-odd-year-old aunt to go watch pro wrestling. Like, she's not going to do that. For her, pro wrestling and Tarantino are basically the same thing.
Which is wow, because when you watch Inglourious Bastards, I would say that is his most, I guess, like, mature movie, in my opinion. Like, because I feel like...
Interesting.
I feel like...
Can I say which one's his least mature?
What?
Definitely Django.
Django is... Django is... That movie is a lot of things.
Tarantino's
it's
Unchained.
Not, it's not... It is not... It's a lot. It is a lot.
Yeah.
But he got some really awesome
And that's
performances.
also, I'm pretty
Oh, yeah.
sure, the movie that made the most money out of any of his movies.
Right, yeah.
So, reinforcing, like
Yeah.
he found a time period where he could just throw as many N-words out as... Because, like,
Right.
it's time thing, and then you make jokes about the Ku Klux Klan and their hoods, and they can't see out of the eye holes, and it's just like, keep just going there. And the violence is, like, dialed up to 11.
What's interesting is there were other films coming out around that time, correct me if I'm wrong, like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. and,
Oh my god, the
and-
book's great, and the movie's so
the
stupid.
12 Years a Slave also came out around that time. So there were other movies coming out just around that time, and Tarantino decides, I'm going to throw my hat in that ring
Yeah.
and do a Tarantino thing. And obviously, yes, it was controversial, and it was nuts. But that movie is like an adventure film. The way it plays, like the way he paced.
He goes on a quest. Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing. He goes on a quest, and the
Yeah.
whole Broomhilda and the dragon, like,
Yeah.
it's setting up. That's the idea of this movie. He's going on an odyssey.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So
it's,
and I feel like that's the movie where he kind of like let go of the hose the most, and it's just kind of like
yeah.
Tarantino'd all over it.
Mhm.
Even having himself in there with a
Not
Australian accent.
Not good. Not good.
that
Not good. Not good. Not good.
movie loses me a lot after the Candyland shootout because of that scene, and then
The rest of it's an epilogue.
yeah,
Well,
well,
it's like a long epilogue.
It's a
Like,
long-
it should have been like did differently.
and like I like the confrontation that he has with
The audience.
Steven. Because like
I said the audience.
yeah, because like when it really comes down to it, who was really in charge the whole time? Steven. And like I like that at the very
Yeah.
end.
Oh yeah.
But like that's like 25 minutes of like Walton Goggins getting all weird with him.
Yeah.
And Walton Goggins is a great actor. He's a very interesting character. A lot of very interesting character choices. And apparently that character is combined of two characters.
Oh really?
Because apparently it was supposed to be two separate characters. One was supposed to be Kurt Russell and one was supposed to be Jonah Hill.
Oh really?
And neither of them could do it.
Right.
So like Jonah Hill pops up in a cameo with the whole
Sure.
Baghead thing, and Kurt Russell is just not in the movie.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think they tried to supplement Kurt Russell not being in it by having a second James Raymer performance. Because did you both notice that the same actor's in it in two different roles?
Which one?
James Raymer is at the beginning of the movie. He's one
Oh,
of the two
that's
brothers.
right,
And then
yes.
he comes back with the... I feel like the guy has a bowler on, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And then the mustache.
Yeah.
And like the big like shotgun guy. Yeah, he's the same
That's
actor.
right.
He 100% was supposed to be Kurt Russell,
Oh,
and probably
okay.
would have had more of Maddox's role. I imagine
Sure.
not doing the whole thing at the end. That seems like a Jonah Hill
Wow.
thing, like 100%.
I didn't.
But like, I feel like
I
it's so
see that.
It's so interesting that like Django just like I remember seeing that in the theater with my brother and just being like, this movie is off the chain. Like no pun intended with like the actual name of the movie,
Sure.
but like it's Tarantino Unchained. He's just going for it.
Yes.
And
but it's so much for being like if this idea of being mature is that you become more subdued or you become more you do things with a lighter touch.
Nope.
I think he has purposefully pushed against trying to have a lighter
and there's other
touch,
directors like I'm pretty sure Scorsese did the same thing with Wolf of Wall Street. I'm 70 years old. Let's make a 3-hour movie about drugs, sex, drugs, more drugs.
Right.
More drugs.
It's
all the drugs.
It's the
Get
movie.
off the phone.
Steve Madden. But now, I guess let's shift gears too. So both of us are going to talk about a specific film. Let's talk about Death Proof.
Okay.
So what did you want to talk about?
So I'm not going to talk about Death Proof necessarily specifically.
Yep.
But Death Proof, I want to talk about his career after Death Proof, which we've kind of touched on.
Yep.
But as Death Proof, Grindhouse was a flop, you know, and and it was one of my favorite movie experiences. I probably told you guys like 10 times. Basically, is me and my two buddies near Monmouth University at the time. We went and saw the film, and it was like bikers and people with like leather jackets on, totally not our scene, like 3 skinny kids, but. That was a rowdy crowd, and that was the audience to see that movie. Now, if all over America that crowd was like what it was like at the movie theater, like they hit their niche audience. The problem is, you made a big budget like B double feature movie for a niche audience. And so,
that math doesn't add up.
We're talking about aunts and grandmas and other people we want to like bring to the theater. They're not like if they're not going to see Pulp Fiction, they sure as hell are not going to go see Grindhouse. So that's why it was a flop. It was made for a very niche audience, and it was a very enjoyable experience at the theater. And I still enjoy Death Proof for what it is. That's the movie I watch with my buddies when we want to put on a Tarantino movie and we don't feel like thinking too much. That's the one we watch.
On a side note, I didn't really like Planet Terror.
I liked it more than Death Proof, actually.
Same.
That's interesting.
You're the second person I've heard say that too. There are 2 camps, and I think
Speaking of
Planet Terror.
Camp. I feel like Planet Terror is just like
campy.
Camp, right?
Like off.
Yes, I mean, come on. Rose McGowan has a machine gun for a leg for crying out loud. Come on.
And Bruce Willis like blows up.
Well,
He's like a zombie.
I think the criticism becomes not criticism, but the critique. Rodriguez had more fun with it, and I think Tarantino tried to be more like Tarantino with it. Here's the thing, man. Death Proof feels, for a large part of it, like a 90s film. It does not feel like a 21st century Tarantino film. A lot of it feels like a 90s film. And it's sloppy, and there's a lot of dialogue, and some of it doesn't even seem like it's necessary. That reminds me of stuff that he did, albeit better, in the 90s with Pulp and Jackie and Dogs, But it was a well-directed mess, is what it was. It was really well-directed. I mean, that car scene when he runs over the other car is like, that's one of the craziest things. Yeah, the tire going over, like, it's violent as hell. But oh my God.
Leg flying.
It was
and
leg, leg.
Here's a PSA. This is why you should not stick your leg out of a window while driving a car.
Yeah, that's not a good idea. No,
not a good idea.
No matter how sexy or hot it is in Texas, but so he has a flop, and he talked about it with Robert Rodriguez on a show, The Director's Chair, which is a great show. I wish Rodriguez would do more interviews because it's so awesome. His next film, he cast Brad Pitt, and Django. He's got Leo DiCaprio as the heel, as the villain. Who was supposed to play Django was Will Smith.
Yep.
That's swinging for the fences.
And he didn't think the movie was actually about Django.
Yeah.
He thought King Schultz had too big of a role in it.
Right. Well, yeah, because Django's playing a slave, and he's not supposed to talk that much. He's not empowered at the beginning. He's empowered at the end of the movie, not at the beginning of the movie. And so Will Smith, he had his reasons for not doing it, and that's fine. But Jamie Foxx is still a big star.
Yep.
But Will Smith is the star of stars. Even now, even though he has a lot of bad movies, he's still like.
And he looks like he's going to kill it in King Richard. That's coming out, where he's playing Venus and Serena Williams' dad.
Oh really? Oh
so
wow.
He's coming for that Oscar.
I mean, and then so Hateful Eight. Let me put that one aside for a second because that one's a little bit different. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, when I heard he was casting Brad Pitt and DiCaprio, I went, he refuses to fail. Like he's swinging. He's going for a grand slam.
You even have like Al Pacino in like a role that pops up for like 2 scenes.
Yeah. So if my question is, if Death Proof isn't a flop, and I'll ask my other question in a couple minutes, but does he cast the same people? Because in the 90s, he's not Tarantino quite yet. He doesn't become
what Bruce Willis is probably like the biggest.
Right,
person.
He was a big star, but he wasn't the lead.
No, he took a chance on John Travolta.
John Travolta, Reservoir Dogs. Harvey Keitel was the biggest name, but Harvey Keitel wasn't in big box office movies.
No, and he hadn't been in leading Scorsese movies since like the early 70s.
So there was still indie film, indie cinema, 90s indie like movement.
Yeah, you cast Pam Grier to lead your movie, and Jackie Brown.
She hadn't been in anything like significant since the 70s. So there was definitely. We would have never even heard of Max Cherry.
Robert Forster.
Robert Forster.
I love Robert Forster, and that's true.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because De Niro wanted that.
He wanted that role. Yeah, he's so much better for the couch potato role.
I don't know. Well.
He could have done it.
He could. De Niro could do anything, basically, that he puts his mind to. But I like what Robert Forster brought to Max Cherry.
He's a sweet. He brought a sweeter side to it than I think De Niro would have.
For De Niro, it's hard to bring a sweet side.
Yeah,
to De Niro.
he always wants to put a wrench through a wall or something. He always wants to. De Niro. But I think that you get to Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2, you still have, it's the Tarantino crew. It's Uma, it's Madsen. Yeah, you've got, Vivica A. Fox and Lucy Liu, but there's no major star.
No.
There's no major star.
Daryl Hannah hadn't been a star since the 80s.
That's amazing casting. I fucking loved it. I loved her in that, but there is no major star. Death Proof happens. And after that, everything, minus maybe Hateful Eight, it's major star.
I feel
everywhere.
like at that point, though, Kurt Russell had enough of a resurgence, and Samuel L. Jackson was to the point where you could bank a movie off of both of them. So to reinforce your point, I think at least Hateful Eight had, and
instead of
and they didn't even tell people Channing Tatum was in it.
Right, exactly. I actually think I would have lopped that part off, but seriously, I'll get into that.
I would not argue with you.
Right. I know.
And the voiceover.
Yes, I know. Nothing against Channing Tatum. I think he did his best, but just.
And if that's what we would have gotten from a Gambit movie, I'm glad that movie got shelved.
The Gambit movie.
Yeah.
Because apparently that's still in pre-production.
Yeah. So
do you feel like it's at the detriment of his movies after Death Proof that he decided to? Are you saying that his movies lost something?
I think that what they gained in star power and this feeling of whoa, this is going to be big. I think they lost in because there's a whole camp of people who love his '90s films.
Well, and I think along with that, everything since Inglourious Bastards has followed one very specific pattern of like he wants to rewrite history.
Yeah, like he's
Okay.
doing like several experiments, I guess, like at the same
And,
time.
like, Yeah,
get
that's the
butts in
thing, because
seats.
it's the more star power, and then the thing where it's like, I'm just going to do the same kind of thing. They're different genres.
Yeah.
One's a war movie, two of them are westerns, and one of the westerns is a murder mystery.
Right. Yeah.
And then, like, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is just like, Hollywood. Enjoy it, kind of thing. And
Or
so... or not, depending on how you feel about it.
Sure.
But
Sure.
I do think it's interesting because, like, I don't think Brad Pitt probably would have been cast in Glorious Bastards. Or, also, would he be making those movies?
Mm-hmm. He had been working on Bastards for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
but now because of what he's seeing in cinema, he has a flop. He's got to cast a big time actor. He had been working on that war trilogy. It was supposed to going to be a trilogy originally since like the late 90s.
Wow.
Yeah, because he never made
Yeah.
that second one that he was talking about.
He basically,
And then-
what we got was essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, like a composite, like slashed, edited version of all three screenplays put into one graphic novel feeling, like pulpy
Yeah.
movie. Is what
And,
we
like,
ended up
Hateful
getting.
Eight was supposed to be originally a Django sequel.
Oh, really?
I would have enjoyed
And
that way
Samuel
more.
L. Jackson
Yeah.
wasn't going to be that character, that was going to be Django.
Okay.
But Django was too good
right.
to
be
fit
hateful.
in. Yeah.
Hateful.
So, like, he made that decision to leave OB as the only nice guy
Right.
in this room and then go in a different direction with it.
Well, let me say something. The reason why I kind of put Hateful Eight aside is because I do feel like with Hateful Eight, he made the movie that he pretty much wanted to make.
Yes, 100%.
Yes, I do agree that that act with Channing Tatum, I kind of wish he wrote another way around that.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I actually really like Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight's one of my favorite of his.
I love I love the characters. I love the dialogue. I love the chemistry, not just between Kurt Russell and Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Got
but
my John Ruth the Hangman pop funk.
you have a
Funko.
pop. Are you for real?
Yeah, it's right next to my other Kurt Russell one, Ego the Living Planet.
Oh my god, dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Oh, man.
I love the character John Ruth the Hangman.
Yeah.
Like watching Kurt Russell go full blown John Wayning it up
Yeah.
in that movie, and then that scene. Speaking of blood
And
lots
excess.
and excess, like how it's structured and everything. Like maybe he could have pulled back on the projectile violating blood, but
Right.
it's an amazingly shot scene.
And that's also not the only excess thing in that movie either.
Right.
Yeah.
The literal, like, walk of shame. Can we call it that? The
Oh
walk
my
of shame?
God,
Like,
the naked walk in the
yeah,
snow.
which also leads to something
Dingus.
else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dingus.
I wonder if maybe after Death Proof he was like, oh wait, but I used to get like awards and stuff. Like wait, I think I want that again because he hadn't got because I think Death Proof didn't get anything and
Jackie Brown flew.
yeah,
Kill
Kill Bill.
Well,
Kill Bill got nominated for a
Robert
Golden Globe.
Forster got nominated for an Oscar.
Oh, okay, yeah. So maybe he wanted, but even then, it's kind of like I want to win,
Yeah.
and so I
It
want to
wasn't
experiment.
Tarantino getting nominations.
Yeah.
So
It's-
maybe he wanted it. Maybe he wanted some gold. Maybe that's one of the reasons why he's like, okay, well then I know I'm not gonna take a chance. I want butts and seats, and I want gold, and maybe that's one of the reasons why he did that
Yeah.
because he got it with Christoph.
Right. The best
Dose.
support two in a row
Mm-hmm.
for Inglorious and Django. And
His
so,
best work
So I
has been in Tarantino movies.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, there's so much to say about his career, but that, what you just said reminded me of how it wasn't until Death Proof that he started talking about this idea about how he wants his filmography to be very special. He doesn't want to have duds or flops in his filmography. He you're like, oh, too bad. Well, this thing. So he, it's funny because he
I'm
feels
sorry.
he feels that the only flop is Death Proof, and the only flop or dud is Death Proof. He feels like everything else he's hit the ball out of the park. You know, he's made it to home plate.
Can I make you vomit blood?
Yeah, you can try.
I enjoyed Death Proof more than Django. I enjoyed Death Proof more than Hateful Eight, and I enjoyed Death Proof more than Once Upon a Time.
And that's why I brought this up, because
I'm not joking. I'm not trying to.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to be like.
but all those movies made far more money at the box office.
So much money.
So that's the point, is that Death Proof, when I show it to friends of mine, they always say that they really had a good time and enjoyed it, you know? And it's fun, but it's funny that it was a flop. And so we get a very different career because of the way Death Proof was done, and just because of Tarantino's mindset. You know, I brought up Brian De Palma a couple of times, which he was inspired by.
Yeah.
Brian De Palma's had a lot of failure.
Yep.
A lot. In fact, whenever they do interviews with Brian De Palma, he's like, I put a movie out there, and they don't really promote it. And he's like, all right, I'll go shoot another one. And all right, you want me to work with Pacino next? Like, okay, I need a hit. Like, that's his mentality. Like, I'll fail and then I'll make a hit, and then I'll fail twice and then make a hit. Tarantino's like, no, it needs to be a hit, a hit. I think he's just a workaholic and doesn't know how to stop making movies, to be honest with you, Ridley Scott. But so I think we would have gotten a different career. I think I would love to.
Well, I think it's a tale of two careers, really. Yeah. There's pre-Death Proof and there's post-Death Proof. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, if you count his first 5, Kill Bill kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, because it's by far the most different.
Right.
But it's still very much like him just doing pulpy what he wants to do. Because, like, even Kill Bill feels very different from, like, everything that's come after Death Proof.
Right.
Because, like, it's not shooting for, like, the fences, and, like, nobody was going to give Kill Bill Oscars. That just wasn't going to happen.
Right.
Which is sad.
Especially at that time.
Yes.
Right, because that's Marvel wasn't getting Oscars. And, Lord of the Rings was, but Marvel wasn't even around quite so.
Marvel didn't. Marvel didn't get an Oscar until 2019.
I bring up Marvel because when he talks about the Kill Bill movies, he wanted to make them like a ride. He wanted to make them like a ride. He wanted them to feel like a ride, like Raiders of the Lost Ark or something like that. So not doing the Scorsese thing, but that's what I mean. Like
like a ride. I get you.
Right.
I get you.
He was trying to not make me angry.
Oh well.
Well, because and it's funny you bring up Raiders, because boy is that a sharp script.
Yeah.
Because like it's Steven Spielberg, so
right,
and not that
Steven.
Well, it's not that Steven Spielberg hasn't had his Ready Player Ones.
Yeah, like
and The Terminal.
Sure,
but
sure.
like
I mean, if you make a movie once a year, you're gonna make a bad movie, or once every other year.
Yeah, and
two movies a year.
Not me though.
Well, and the way that Tarantino covets his own movies, the internet covets like Christopher Nolan. It's just like Nolan doesn't make bad movies, and like his only Rotten Tomato credits that are rotten are the things that he produced for Zack Snyder.
Right,
but I would not argue that any of Christopher Nolan movies are like bad movies. I wouldn't argue any of Quentin Tarantino movies are bad movies. I don't think Death Proof's a bad movie. I don't get really hooked until like a good 30, 40 minutes into the movie. Like, well,
right
I think it's really until Russell pops in,
right,
and shakes it up a bit, because
I enjoyed the talking before. That's so interesting.
I didn't like.
I really enjoyed it.
You know who was really distracting to me in that movie? Eli Roth.
Oh yeah,
that's such a dumbass.
yeah.
I have a lot of feelings about
also,
Eli
that scene
Roth.
kind of like that scene aged poorly.
Yes.
That scene aged poorly.
A lot of things about Death Proof have aged poorly.
Like, okay, let's get them drunk, and it's like, oh wait, no, Twitter, like they'll get you, they'll get you.
A lot of things have aged poorly, but in terms of cancel culture and in terms of like,
I don't know if it's
sensitivity.
Yeah.
Yes, things
I don't
age
know
very
if it's
poorly.
because how much I love Rosario Dawson, and I like Zoe
love
Bell
her.
a lot too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I really enjoyed them a lot in the second half of the movie, and like I'm not gonna not enjoy Kurt Russell
He was just awesome.
because like he's just hamming it up as Stuntman Mike, and also down in Mexico by the coasters.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, the thing.
I mean, it's just
It's
it's sexy, man. It's so sexy, and I don't know if you know this, in the theatrical version, the film gets blotted and ruined, and the film explodes for real.
That's the one that I saw.
Oh, you saw that
that's-
version.
yeah, it was
Okay.
like,
Oh,
it was
I
like they're
only-
talking, and then it's like a weird edit, and then it's like, oh, you're talking about something else now. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then so you skip the lap dance. The whole audience goes, it's mostly men.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what happened.
That's what happened.
Oh, I saw like the weird like effects. I didn't know that they just cut out the lap
Actually,
dance.
they cut it out.
I've only seen the full version of the movie,
Yeah.
so I've never seen like the.
It's a lot obviously.
Yeah.
It's sexy. It's very sexy. You know. It
And
is.
it's Kurt Russell. He's not gonna have problems getting like a 20-year-old woman to give him a lap dance.
It's a good poem. It's a good poem.
He's
and,
so good in that.
Your
movie.
Letterboxd, I agree. I'm very interested to see what he would do with like a real horror movie.
That would be really interesting because
Because like there's only hints
yeah.
at it.
It's not a real. Yeah, Death Proof isn't a real horror movie.
Yeah, no, there's way too much. There's way too much sun. That movie is sunny as
Yeah,
hell.
I know it's true. It's a
I
great.
disagree.
The second half.
No, I disagree because some of the scariest parts of Halloween are broad daylight. When Michael Myers is just looming in the background when they're walking home from school, it's just like
Hang out with people's laundry.
the shape.
Behind
Yeah.
the sheets.
Exactly like that. The shape lurks behind them. But I think
Yeah.
if Death Proof wound up different, I think we would have seen a very different career for Quentin
Yeah.
Tarantino.
Yeah. So.
And who would you have cast? Because that's the thing, I wouldn't argue against any of the casting of like the bigger names in them.
No.
And
no,
'cause, like-
DiCaprio, man, like fuck, like he's fucking amazing.
Well, I don't
Sorry
say
for cursing.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think, is made specifically that it's one of the biggest actors in the world is playing a failed actor.
Yeah.
And he is
Perfect.
so neurotic and just so vulnerable in that. And then, of course, Cliff Booth, murderer Cliff Booth, is one of the coolest people ever.
Shane's calling it. Okay.
Tarantino called it.
Yeah, I think
Oh, for real?
confirms it in the book.
He confirms it in the book that
wow.
he's killed 3 people.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Including his wife.
Including his wife. Which makes it I haven't watched the movie since. But like,
He's still really cool though.
yeah. But it's like, how much of us deep down, think about when you watched that movie for the first time and thought really deep down, did you really think he didn't? He's holding the harpoon
Yeah.
gun. Like, what, did he just like drop it and just like turn around and drink a beer or something? That was heavily alluded to.
Yeah.
But that just says a lot about
Right.
Brad Pitt that we still thought he was cool.
By the way, I always make the joke with you guys. You know, they made a book out of that. This time it actually works. He made a book after
Yes.
the movie.
Yep.
So the movie came before the book, so they made a book out of that. It's
Yep.
not a joke.
And it's not like 2001 A Space Odyssey where they were worked on at the same time.
No. No.
And they just give you a very different experience. Like, if you want answers, read the book.
Yeah.
If you just want to be like, why is there a giant baby in space? Watch the movie. Don't argue with it. So what I wanted to bring up was Jackie Brown. Because I feel like that's the one movie that doesn't get anywhere near enough attention from people that Quentin Tarantino has made. I love Jackie Brown. There's certain things about Jackie Brown that I'm like, like, I'm not a huge fan of the Bridget Fonda and Robert De Niro scenes for most of them.
Okay.
Like, it gets better as the movie goes on. It works in the movie, but then I really need to see them have a quickie and poor Robert De Niro look like he was going to have a heart attack after having sex. But it happened. But like, De Niro does play that like
So
F
good.
up of a crook really well. Just like Over the Hill, he has the horseshoe mustache.
De Niro is incredible in that movie.
It's De Niro. Well, I can't say that because like there's been movies where he didn't try.
Yeah.
So
he's doing a job.
Yep.
The comedies.
Yeah.
Things like Meet the Parents, like he came to play in that
I
at
know.
least.
I just hate him so much in Meet the Parents. I don't know why. I hate those. I hate.
I got nipples, right? Can you milk me?
Yeah, I hate. Oh my god, I smell like. Terrible.
Did either of you see The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle in the
No.
early 2000s? I watched that so much as a kid. He's fearless leader,
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
and he's doing the over-the-top German accent.
Oh, wasn't that like
And-
CG or something,
I have to
right?
see that.
Rocky and Bullwinkle are CG,
Yeah.
but he's live action fearless leader with a giant monocle, the scar down his face. It's ridiculous. And Boris and Natasha are Jason Alexander and Rene Russo.
Oh my god.
How they get them to be in this movie, I don't. Well, paycheck. They spent a lot of money on that movie. It had Piper Perabo in it, who was supposed to be like a next big actress with like Coyote Ugly and that.
Oh wow. Oh yeah,
Um,
she was beautiful.
But Robert De
It
Niro
was.
is just a small, tiny piece, and like Chris Tucker's hilarious
Chris
in his
Chris
like,
Tucker is fan. Oh my god! Before I saw the movie, I saw the trailer and I was like, this is a dope as hell trailer. I should have chose that also when we did our trailers video. And then I saw that scene of like, I get in a truck. Like, fantastic! He's so great.
and no matter so
And yes, that was necessary.
Jules is obviously like magnum opus of Samuel L. Jackson, but he is so great in Jackie Brown and intimidating. Like, and come on, if you have to kill every single mother effer in the room, except no substitutes.
No one gets in
AK for
between me and my AK.
that video, did Tarantino make that video? Or was that like an actual?
He directed that.
Oh my god! Because it's perfect!
Or the second unit directed it. I'm pretty sure it wasn't an actual VHS you could rent at Blockbuster.
Because like, if he actually made that, that's perfect.
I
Because
think
that
he
is
did,
so obnoxious, but it's so real.
It's so good.
But like Pam Grier is so great, and it's so great,
Yeah.
and it's so weird, like her being referenced in like the
Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs,
Yeah.
and then her popping up as Jackie Brown,
Mhm.
and Robert Forster. I love him as an actor, and rest in peace because he passed away pretty recently. And like, I remember when I finally went through all of Breaking Bad, and saw him at like in like the very end of Breaking Bad, and then he was in El Camino. I'm just like, yes.
Who's he in Breaking Bad again?
He's the guy who gets them out.
Oh yeah, he's the vacuum salesman.
The vacuum guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the Descendants. If you've seen that with George Clooney, he's the father-in-law. It's like,
Punching the kid in the
I'm
face.
gonna punch you in the mouth, and he like pops him, and I'm just like.
Yeah.
Also, I know we talked not to go on too much a tangent. We talked about angry Harrison Ford pointing. Nothing beats paranoid George Clooney pointing. And nothing. But like, just the cast and like, Michael Keaton doesn't. His character is not like over the top. There's nothing big about his character, but he's so believable as that character in it, and the whole cast is great. And like even like Tiny Lister, Tiny Lister,
Zeus Jr.
Zeus.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. As like a small role in the bail bondsman office, and it just works so well in the music.
Yeah.
The music.
The soundtrack is off the chain.
Like the music in some of his other films are bolder. Like obviously nobody's gonna argue with like Rip Roaring Dick Dale in for Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And oh crap, what the hell's the name of the song when they're all walking in slow motion at the beginning of Reservoir Dogs?
Oh,
Green Bag.
Green Bag.
Yeah.
Little green
Bag.
bag.
But like,
That was
and
so
then they're
nerdy,
driving
but I love
around,
it.
yeah, and they're like dancing. They're driving around to Jungle Boogie. But like, there's something so smooth.
Beautiful. Nicely done.
There's
Nicely
something
done.
so smooth about all the music in it, and it works in the plot because like that when Samuel L. Jackson and Robert Forster are driving the car, and he has the Delphonics song, right?
Yeah.
And he's just like looks at him with like acknowledgement of like,
Yeah.
okay.
Didn't know you listened to the Delphonics. They're pretty good.
Yeah, and like Robert Forster does like the most middle-aged white guy things, like they're pretty good.
Yeah.
And just like drive it along, and
Yeah.
but like it's so the relationship between Max and Jackie is so great, and it's and it, like the whole thing with like the heist and how they cut all that together and how that all plays out and like non-linear, like following each of the different characters.
Yeah.
I just feel like this movie, like I feel like if you go up to most people to name all Tarantino's movies, this is probably the one that they forgot the most.
Unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was the least Tarantino in terms of what people think is Tarantino. But if you're a fan of Tarantino, you love his films, I think you go, oh no, that's actually like one of his most, Tarantino films.
It's when he reined back from like Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs and just focused on a lot of the things he was doing in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of like this, because it is subtle. It's his most restrained film, and then like it all goes out the window.
Well, business-wise, it wasn't a flop. It made money because I think the budget was like closer to between 14 and 20 million. I think Pulp's was like 7 or 8 million.
Yeah.
So the budget was
like
a little higher.
everybody was just like,
yeah,
I'll get paid like $5 to be in your movie.
Right. Pretty. Especially, I'm sure De Niro took a huge pay cut, right? But,
with Pulp Fiction, definitely Bruce Willis did.
Oh yeah, which he won't do nowadays. But
hell no, he will not.
And should though. He should.
He should make some better choices.
Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
Yes.
he should take maybe some pay cuts to put himself inside of different things.
Yeah.
Many different things.
Yeah.
But business-wise, it was still a success but it wasn't the success that Pulp Fiction was. And a lot of people were expecting Pulp Fiction too. And so I think that's why there was some disappointment.
Yeah.
But I think this is the one that, like I said before, I think Jackie Brown can age like a fine wine.
It has for me.
Because the characters are just so rich. And I find it, I find it very relatable because I find like this Max Cherry and Pam Grier, Jackie Brown, they're single, but they're not young. They're old. They're getting old. They're past their prime, and they feel like, well, you know what? Let's take a chance here. Let's take a chance, and they find this kind of connection, and it's kind of sweet, and it's sort of romantic in a very grounded and real way, and it just kind of like if you allow it, it really get into your heart. And I would even say that the Ordell Roby character, I mean, is he a scumbag? Yes, in a lot of ways he is. However, you do kind of you get him.
Yeah.
When he's at that desperate moment at the very end, all his money is gone. He has been sucked in. He has been duped. He's not very smart. Although, Sam Jackson has said that he feels like Ordell would have been smarter not to go in to the bail bonds place and just walk into the dark like he did. I think that's my only major criticism is I do think Ordell was a little too dumb to just walk in there, And Sam Jackson said, well, we got to stop somewhere. The movie's got to end at some point, so what the hell else are we going to do? But I feel like that desperation is if I'm going to put a bullet in the back of your head. If Winston pops out or anything else, you're the first one. You're the first motherfucker who's gonna. You can feel that desperation of these characters. They're all past their prime. Even the Bridget Fonda character is past her prime. She's having sex with this couch potato scummy ex-con in Robert De Niro. So nobody's setting the world on fire. But at the same time, you kind of feel for them in a way. You
and I feel like even
that's hard to do.
Yeah, and even Michael Keaton, I feel like he needed a win on that.
The actor, you mean?
Well,
Or the character?
yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
because like Michael Keaton's one of those actors that like disappeared for a long time. Now he's just like, I'm back. I'm back, baby. And you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Yeah.
But like I felt like there's something about was it Gillette? I feel like was his name.
Ricolette or Ray was his first name. Nicolette, Ray
We
Nicolette.
fact check Shane, but like I felt like even he was like needed this win, like this case kind of thing.
He did. Yes.
And Ray Nicolette. Yep, you got it.
Right.
I was almost there.
Yeah.
But like, and that's the thing, and like you even feel bad for him because like you could tell like the other guy, asshole, the other like police officer or whatever.
He is kind of a dick. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, and
That's Bud.
Yeah, it is Bud.
Not
he plays.
Bud. Yeah. Or Buck.
Buck. Yeah. Oh. But like
from Kill Bill Volume 1.
Yes.
Buck. Look it up.
But Ray, like you even feel for him because like you feel like he really trusts Jackie.
Yeah.
On some level, and then like he screws him over, and you're just kind of like, oh, that sucks.
I think they like Jackie. I think they can't help but like Jack. Want to like Jackie. You know. So yeah. Yeah,
and I love it, and every time I watch it, I enjoy it more. That's, I think, one of the things, is like, not gonna lie, the first time I watched it, when I was really going through Tarantino's filmography, I'm like, this is kind of boring.
Yeah.
Where's all the shooting?
Right.
And, like, this was, like, 20-year-old shit.
It may have been his most mature film, and he made it...
I think it's going to be his most mature
before he
film.
was, like, 35, 36. So if Django is his, like, most heavy-handed, least mature film, that goes to show you, like, he's not, like, he's making these decisions not based on necessarily age. He's making these decisions, maybe he was then, in the 90s, but I think in the 21st century, he's been making decisions based on what does the audience want, what is the audience looking for, and how am I going to adapt to that, but still make it Tarantino.
Yeah, isn't that one of the reasons why he said that he wanted to retire at some point? It was because that he felt like the moment that he gets to be out of touch, he's like, okay, well, then I don't want to continue to make movies.
Yeah.
So I like what you're saying. Like, you just kind of have like an ear for what they want.
Like John Carpenter went off into the sunset because we don't need him making movies anymore.
Well, it's like I mean, it's like if a band makes the decision, like, you know what, man, we want to go back to playing pool halls, or we want to go back to playing, but once you start to have a lifestyle, you want to live in the Hollywood Hills, you have to play to arenas. Once you live in the hills, you got to play
I might
to
be
arenas.
the only one at this table that loves this band, but as somebody who loves this band, AC/DC needs to stop.
Needs to stop.
You need to stop.
Right. Yeah.
Malcolm's dead. Like, Brian Johnson's losing his hearing. Y'all need to, like, it's okay. You don't have to keep making the same album over and over again.
Right.
Like, I was a defender up until, like, their last two albums. I'm just like, nope. And sometimes you just gotta do it. And, like, there's certain filmmakers, very rare do you have a Scorsese that's going out and making The Irishman at ever how old he is.
That freaking dude's crazy because he's had like 3 careers in one.
Yep.
He's had 3 film careers in one, where you can kind of look at Tarantino as like 90s and then Kill Bill, Split kind of thing, but Tarantino, or what's his name, Scorsese, keeps going back and forth between like the Goodfellas, like, criminals fuck you over and rule the world, the Jesus, I have faith, don't take it away from me film.
Silence.
And then there's Age of Innocence. So he'll just decide to do a historical thing, like, or a Kundun or whatever.
Yeah, and now he's doing a Western.
So he's going, he's
the killer of the flower of the killer moon.
He's never done a Western before, has he?
Nope.
Okay, that's
and this movie has De Niro and DiCaprio in it. He's just like, And good for De Niro. Still trying.
I mean,
trying for it.
it's also in this era. I also think that type of casting is. I think it's part of is like this idea of like the decline of cinema. The cinema still survives, sort of thing. You know, like we need to book like the biggest names to get people to come and see this.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's a lot of that's going on right now. With like it's been going on for a while, but now
Well,
it
you
feels
look.
like,
There's so many like mega casts for things. Like Adam McKay's new movie. What? Don't Look Away or something like that, or Look something or other. Because I do want to bring this up, and like even with all of the Knives Out movies that we're gonna get, casts are ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
So, like, Adam McKay has this new film coming out called Don't Look Up. Timothy Chalamet, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Cate Blanchett, Meryl Streep, Ron Perlman, Jonah Hill, Gina Gershon's in it too, Matthew Perry, Mark Rylance, Ariana Grande, Michael Chiklis, Tyler Perry, Himesh Patel, even just, how did you get half those people to show up in your movie? And this is the guy who made Step Brothers and Anchorman and stuff like that. And they swing for the fences because they need to sell movies.
Right.
Because that is one thing. If you're not a big comic book movie, you have to try real hard to actually make it at the box office.
That's true.
And that's how movies are made.
Yeah, and look, it's like this could be that could be Scorsese's last movie.
Could be. I don't think it's going to be.
Probably not. Whatever Tarantino's next thing is, I do believe it's going to be it. It's going to be. He's already saying it's going to be like an epilogue. Like whatever he does is
good for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think nobody cares more about his filmography more than Quentin Tarantino. So
probably that's a good point. Although
I think it's hard as a fan to care about his filmography as much as he does,
right?
Because
exactly.
he's putting it up there. But good for him. He can do that. I've written screenplays that have never seen the light of day. So like, I'm not going to criticize him for creating some of the best movies out there.
Right.
Like, Pulp Fiction is one of the greatest movies ever made, so I'm not going to argue with him about what he's accomplished. So.
He's a unique breed. He's a unique, artist and auteur, director, and there's, he's not without his flaws, but, I think that there's definitely something for everyone, and it's...
and he's not trying to make movies for everyone all the time.
That's right. Right, he's not trying to, it's definitely not for everybody, but I do feel like he's trying to entertain as many people as he can who can see a rated R movie.
Yep. Or those who show up to see The Green Knight at 7 years old because their dad brought them, because that happened yesterday. And that movie's a hard R movie.
Oh, for
because
real.
of like violence or drinking or all of the above.
Violence, sex.
There's a lot of sex.
Bodily fluids. And I'm going to leave it at that. But, do we have any other thoughts that we want to throw out there about Quentin Tarantino before we wrap up this episode?
It's not very nightly.
Violence, sex, and bodily fluids. I mean, it doesn't get any more Tarantino
than that. He should have done an Arthurian legend. That's going to be his last movie.
Oh, man, I don't know about all that. Come on now.
Could you imagine?
Actually, you know what? Let's leave it at that. You all imagine that. Think about that.
Wait, that was
like the sword shoots out from the holster, and like...
It's starting to sound like From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, pretty much. From Dusk Till Dawn.
He
medieval times.
Yep.
There you go.
Just Army of Darkness?
Just go to medieval times and
Yep. But that was a lot of fun talking about Quentin Tarantino. And I know I had some fun. And obviously, we all love Quentin Tarantino. Comment. Let us know what you think about Quentin Tarantino. But thank you all for always tuning in and supporting the Development Hell podcast.